then come on across to
A special experience tonight as we speak with the Republican candidates for the 3rd Congressional District. Bob Delle is here. Mike Stopa joins us as well. Brian Herr and also Marty Lamb, and we're pleased, gentlemen, to have all of you here with us as we talk about the issues. What we're going to do is we're going to throw some of the issues out there. We'll let you guys weigh in, and hopefully we'll all be able, by the end of the evening, to know a little bit more about each and every one of you. Brian, let me start with you. I know that as you go knocking on all the doors, the #1 issue that is on people's minds is the economy. Brian Herr is in Congress. How do we have more jobs? How do we have a better economy over the next 2 years?
It is absolutely the biggest concern out there, and it's jobs that we hear over and over again. We've knocked on hundreds, if not thousands, of doors at this point, and clearly people are looking for jobs. And even if they're employed, their neighbors are unemployed, and they're very concerned about them. As a United States congressman, you've got to make sure that the federal government creates a culture and an atmosphere and an environment where the private sector can create jobs. Washington, D.C. doesn't create jobs. Jobs are created on Main Street here back in the 3rd Congressional District. I think it's very important that the federal government get out of the way, make sure that tax cuts get extended.
How does Brian Herr get them out of the way?
Well, I tell you what, you don't pass legislation that gets in the way. In other words, Obamacare is a huge, expensive bill that businesses right now are holding off hiring for next year because they don't know what's going to happen to their costs going into next year. I was at a business recently where a gentleman said, I want to hire 2 more engineers for my firm. I can't do it because I'm not sure if the tax cuts are going to get extended, and I'm not sure if the Obamacare, how much that's going to cost me, so I can't hire right now.
Mike, is that what you're hearing as well? Are you hearing similar things to what Brian is, and do you agree with this approach?
No, I certainly agree that the jobs are the issue that people are talking about the most. I think that we have to keep taxes low, and we have to extend the Bush tax cuts, but we have to pay for the tax cuts we get by spending cuts as well. So we've proposed that the stimulus bill, which has been, in my opinion, a catastrophe, has still $280 billion left that's not spent. That's just about the amount of money it'll take to extend the Bush tax cuts for 2 more years, and we think that that would be a great trade-off so that instead of buying wind power that we don't need because energy demand is decreasing, let's put the money back in the pockets of the people who earned it and let's see how they spend it. Because the one thing the Obama administration doesn't do is ask people what they want. Instead, they decide what people should want, and that's kind of the fundamental mistake.
I mean, is that it, Marty? Do we not need this wind power? Do we not need? I thought green jobs was where a big growth area of the economy is coming from.
To me, as a small business owner, small businesses are what drive our economy. 3 out of every 4 jobs in America were created by small businesses, and that's what we need to concentrate on, not on wind power technology or green energy, but actually to stimulate the small business, to help people hire. Help small businesses be in the position to hire new employees, to get rid of the mandates on them. Under Obamacare, there's an 8% payroll tax for small businesses that can't afford to pay full health care. That would cause a business like mine to lay off 1, maybe 2 employees. It would kill us. There's other mandates under cap and trade that would devastate small business. And as was just said, small businesses are afraid to hire because we just don't know what will happen in the future.
So, Bob, get government out of the way. Is that what I'm hearing? And what do you think?
Pretty much. You know what Mike said. You know about the $280 billion that hasn't been spent yet. Well, it hasn't been incurred yet either. It's not like it's laying around Washington. I mean, it hasn't been taken and spent. And I think really what we have to do is we have to go outside the box here. We have to come up with policies that are going to encourage economic growth. The issue isn't jobs. There's been plenty of jobs given out the last couple months, all government jobs. We have to create the private sector. We have to grow the private sector. And what I've been proposing since the get-go is enterprise zones, creating areas or giving startups special opportunities to grow without government regulation, to grow without taxes. That's what we need to do. We have to come up with a plan where we as Republicans are saying to the Democratic president, who's still going to be there, President Obama, we need to grow, we have to take a bipartisan approach, we need to let conservatives lead, and that's why I think enterprise zones are a really good first step.
Mike, you've done a number of debates with these gentlemen. Where do you differ with them, if at all, on their cures for the economy?
On the economy, well, I mean, I think we're deep on specifics, actually. I think we've been deep on specifics from the very beginning. It was my opinion that when I started this run, I'm not a professional politician, I'm not a lawyer, I'm not somebody who's been in politics. for a long time. I thought that the most important thing was to develop sort of a comprehensive understanding of the issues, if for no other reason, so that when I walk up on stage to debate Jim McGovern, that I can beat him, because he's going to be deep on these issues. He's going to know chapter and verse of all the things that are going on in the economy. He's going to know exactly what the stimulus bill did, what the stimulus bill didn't do, and he has a habit of debating and then disappearing in a puff of black ink. And
but Marty, he's going to have a completely different approach when he gets up there and debates whichever one of you it is than what you're telling me here today.
Well, of course he is, and I disagree with Mike that he's going to be talking about the very specifics. If we're talking about small business, he doesn't understand small business. He doesn't understand private sector job creation. It's an area he just has never touched on. He's never worked. He surprisingly actually just started sending out a glossy recently that because his father has a liquor store, he understands. I disagree. He's never created a private sector job nor had a private sector job, at least since he was in high school or college. And we're going to be talking about the issues. His voting record is clear. He votes to the left of Pelosi, and we're all in agreement on that. It's black and white, his voting record. And what we need to do is come up with creative ideas as to how to change what's happening. And that's what I've done, is actually present plans of action from day one in Congress, how to create the jobs, how to cut spending, and how to create...
All right, so back to the original question that I asked Brian. Marty Lamb is in Congress. How do you create some jobs next 2 years?
And Brian alluded to this too, that we need to give the tax breaks and tax cuts to the small businesses. I proposed a capital gain, eliminate the capital gain for startup small businesses. We need to encourage the creation of small businesses. We need to have a payroll tax moratorium for both employers and employees across the board, so that small businesses can actually have some working capital in their pocket. We need to have other creative solutions that don't inhibit the small businesses, and we need sustainability. Get rid of the tax cut.
Is there anything that has been said so far that any of you disagree with it, that somebody else said? I mean, is this all, any of you are better than McGovern, or are there some ways in which you do different?
I do think when we talk about energy independence here in the United States of America, and wind technology and solar technology and all the other products that are coming out now, I do think that's an opportunity for the American economy to put people back to work. I believe that we can reduce our energy consumption by employing some of these new technologies. My industry, I'm in the electrical distribution business, my industry actually designs and sells those systems. So there's ways to create jobs today that will reduce the cost for businesses going forward and also allow people to get back to work.
Bob, 30 seconds.
Sure. I think you know, the difference between me and my compadres here is that, you know, they're pretending that there's going to be like no Democratic president. Obama is going to be there, okay? And no matter what happens in the elections, it's not like it's going to be like an overwhelming majority of Republicans. We have to work with the president. We have to come up with bipartisan solutions where we're leading him, because frankly, he doesn't quite understand a whole lot. So that's why I'm proposing that we have enterprise zones. We have to take small steps. We're not going to, you know, take an economic problem that's been like 40 years in the making and resolve it with a few more laws. We have to have a fundamental change in the way we think and the way we act. And I believe the first
Bob, when
step
you
is
approach
enterprise.
it, though, and we've kind of run out of time, but when you approach it and you say, but he doesn't understand a whole lot, is that going to lend itself to a bipartisan approach on the economy?
Well, we have to show him what to do. I mean, it's as simple as that. I mean, like, you know, we have to like, you know, he's been talking compromise all throughout the healthcare debate. Obama was talking about we have to come up with competition. We have to come up with competition. We have to come up with competition, and that's what we have to do. We have to create, you know, competition for what's going on out there. We have to have new ideas. We have to have a new approach, and hopefully he's going to sign on, because let's face it, there's not going to be a veto-proof House. There's not going to be, you know, a filibuster-proof Senate, and there's going to be the president there who's looking for us to go and, you know, attack his policy so we can be the do-nothing Republican Congress for the
Bob,
president.
thank you. Much more to come right here on the Hank Stolz Experience.
You're going